Hi there, folks. Good morning and welcome to our preview on Clocking the Gallop of racing today. It's Tuesday, the 6th of December, and racing taking place on the Standside track at Turffontein today. I can confirm that the weather's much better this morning than it was yesterday. It did come down quite a bit. 26 millimeters of rain fell at Turffontein yesterday, bringing to a total 30 millimeters in the last week. And the track condition comes up as good to soft. The sun is out, it's blazing actually, but there are expected to be showers later on during the course of the day. So it's good to soft, penetrometer 24. They've also had 21 millimeters of irrigation put down on the track in the last 7 days. And the racing goes ahead today with 8 races carded. By the way, the false rail is set 2 meters out on the back straight and 3.5 meters out on the bend, with a 3.5 meter spur at the 700 meter marker. I have discussed the card with Neil Andrews today. So these are the selections of Neil and myself. And we'll be taking you through the card today with that in mind. I'm going to bring up the betting for each race and I'll give you what we think from both our perspectives. I've got to say that we view it very, very much the same way. There was very little difference in our assessment of the card. So let's run through it and I'll tell you what we're thinking today. I'll go through the changes as well. Let's go to race number 1, which runs at 12:25. It's a work rider's maiden plate over the mile trip. In the first race, number 3, In a Sense, no blinkers. No blinkers for number 3, In a Sense, in the first race. I think that is the only change. And that is one of the favorites here. Last Wild One, number 2, is at 2-1. Number 3, In a Sense, is at 5-2, with number 4, Rosie Lemon, at 5-2. And then it is double figures about the others. I think of the fancied horses, I'm certainly in the camp of the number 2, Last Wild One. She's a daughter Mambo in Seattle. Her last one was good. Charmin Mabaya might have had the option, but he probably wouldn't have actually in retrospect, because he rides for Mike de Kock. He is one of Mike de Kock's big loyal men work riders in the stable, and therefore he owes big allegiance to the yard. So therefore I believe that number 2, Last Wild One, would be the horse to beat of the fancied runners. I don't trust number 3, In a Sense, in the sense that I've been for her before. She's let the side down. She races without the blinkers, but I don't trust her. Even though she's got a 1 draw. Number 4, Rosie Lemon, would have claimed. She hasn't got the best of draws, but she's ridden by a very capable work rider in Joe Guinguiza. And then from the outsider's perspective, I liked a bit of 7, Bushveld, to improve. I think she'll be better over the trip. She's ridden by a very accomplished work rider in Chapiso Matsuela. And Neil also fancied a bit of number 6, Mrs. Shelby, which he thought could improve too. The blinkers have come off, and Sam Messia, who is another very, very good rider, rides today. So it could be anything, but I think we're leaning towards number 2, Last Wild One, ahead of Rosie Lemon. Outsiders to include are Bushveld, number 7, and Mrs. Shelby, number 6. That starts off the bipod. Let's go to race 2. The start of the place accumulator runs at 1 o'clock. It's a maiden plate over 1,600 meters. In race 2, that race is clear as carded. And the betting has number 10, Trois Quatre, number 10, which means 334 in French, with blinkers on for the first time, coming into 16.5 to 10 from 2-1. And I reckon that he is going to be tough to beat today. I like him very strongly. I think he's got the come-on look. The question mark is the blinkers, how he goes to the start of the blinkers. So because I'm commentating today, I'll take a close look at that together with Lyle Cooper, who is presenting on the course today, and we'll have a look at how he goes down with the blinkers. But I think he has the come-on look, number 10, Trois Quatre, and I think that he is the improver here. However, number 7, Kambulu, might well improve too. He's well bred. He's only had 1 start, and I think he's capable of further improvement. So I think, for me, I'm keeping it pretty short and sweet here. I think 10's the horse to beat. I think 7's the danger. And I think between the two of those, he'll be able to get through the place accumulator pretty swiftly. So I like 10 quite strongly. Depending on the blinkers, I might shift onto the 7 if the blinkers don't work out there. Let's move on to the third race at 13:35. It is the start of the pick six, a merit rated 89 handicap over 1400 meters. Here there is a scratching now. I'm just checking number 2, Fast Love, has been scratched, which is a bit disappointing for us because I quite liked him today and I thought he was value at the odds. Number 7, Let's Do It. No cheap pieces. Those come off. Those are the changes in the third race. The short price favorite is number 3, Tsabomba, son of Gimme the Green Light, who's done nothing wrong thus far in his career. Gavin Lorena rides him for the first time, but he certainly has been pretty impressive. He opened up even money and he shortened into 8.5 to 10 without number 2, Fast Love, having been scratched. Number 1, Raffles, is at 18 to 10. And then number 4, Mini Coupe, is at 7 to 1. Now, whilst Tsabomba is a big runner here, I don't think he's an 8 to 10 chance. I certainly wouldn't be rushing out to take the 8 to 10 about him, or for that matter, taking 18 to 10 about Raffles. In fact, I cannot believe Raffles is 18 to 10. I've always liked the horse, but I think he's too high up in the ratings. He has to ship 2 kilos to Tsabomba. That's going to be tough. But most importantly, both of them have to give weight to Candice Dawson's horse, number 4, Mini Coupe, who's a year older than both of them and who I think might be effective over the 1400 meters. Diego de Gavert sticks with the son of Coup de Gras, and I thought number 4, Mini Coupe, was the value in the race here at 7 to 1. I wouldn't be leaving him out of absolutely anything. And in fact, I'm going to tip him to win race number 3, Mini Coupe, to beat home Tsabomba. And then Neil mentioned a bit of number 5, Sage King. I sort of put him off it because I didn't really like it. I said it's coming back from a lengthy rest of 5 months. I'll adopt a wait and see approach with Sage King, but I think Raffles is too high up in the rating. And for that reason, we were looking elsewhere. That's why we also gave number 2, Fast Love, a chance, but unfortunately at 8 to 1, that's scratched. So Tsabomba may well win. I wouldn't be rushing out to be snapping up 8, 8.5 to 10 about that. Let's go on to race number 4, which is the start of the first jackpot at 10 past 2. It's a merit rated 76 handicap. It's over 1400 meters. In the fourth race, you can scratch number 4, Fire Lord, as a non-runner. Number 2, Destiny of Souls, no tongue tie. A tongue tie goes on number 7, Rule by Force. And a pressure halter is on number 9, Vesuvio. The changes in the fourth race. Right here, Neil and I were unanimous on our horse here, and that is number 6, Without Equal. We've been very, very big on the chances of Sianda Sasiba. We think that he's come on in leaps and bounds. We were mentioning this morning how many runners he had brought home for us in the last couple of weeks. We were also mentioning together how he seems to have taken a leap forward with his 4-kilo claim. I think he's in the region of about 13 or 15 winners. So he loses his 4-kilo claim at 20 winners. He goes to 2.5. So our attitude is make hay while the sun shines with Sianda Sasiba's apprentice allowance of 4 kilos. For that reason, our first choice is number 6, Without Equal. We think a horse that finished 2.25 lengths behind Union Square carrying level weights and 2.1 lengths behind Shoemaker carrying level weights will be good enough to win here. So we're snapping up the 7, 6s, and 11 to 2 about Without Equal. He is clearly our first choice. Rule by Force is the favorite. By the way, he gets a tongue tie today, which might improve him further. So with the tongue tie adjustment to Rule by Force, he may well be a force to be reckoned with, but he isn't drawn particularly well. And for that reason, Without Equal remains our first choice ahead of Rule by Force. I'm going to give you a little roughie that you might want to include in trifectas and swingers. Number 5, Flying Grace. Clinton Binder has had 5 wins in the last month. Calvin Habib has ridden really well for him. And I think Flying Grace at 25 to 1 represents a lot of value too. With regard to Destiny of Souls and Acorn, I view them very much in the same breath. Probably Destiny of Souls a little bit more because of the weight turnaround. When you look at their run on the 29th of May this year, they ran over 1,200 meters. Destiny of Souls carried 60 as upper half, Acorn carried 58.5, is up 1.5. So Destiny of Souls looks like it's got the beating of Acorn, but how one is 9-2 and the other 16-1, only the mind baffles on the way that they have structured that betting, because there's little between them. One is 9-2, one is 16-1. Surely the difference isn't that big. Let's move on to race 5 at 2:45. It's a merit-rated 76 handicap. It's over 1,800 meters. And in race 5, number 1, Ablon, no Elamites, has steel shoes. And number 5, Zuzan, has blinkers. Those are the changes in race number 5 today. Well, there's a handicap certainty here. If it goes according to the handicap, number 8, Tyrus Express, will be very, very difficult to beat. Carries only 51 kilos, has got everything beaten on form, collateral form, and we're leaning towards that one. He is a 7-year-old, though, so he is a bit long in the tooth. Sianda Sasiba has never ridden him before, so if he has got any quirks or issues, then that may come into play. For that reason, he definitely remains our first choice, and he's the horse to beat. I thought number 2, Little Prince, would improve, actually. I don't see why he's sitting at 25-1, because I think he could improve. I liked him as a younger horse, as a 3-year-old, when he was with Paul Peter, and I think 25-1 is an absolutely ludicrous price on number 2, Little Prince. I think he's capable of improvement. Obviously, Ablon, the steel shoes go on, the Alamites are removed, so I've gone very, very lukewarm on Ablon. Alistair Cohen has Banner Bridge for him and his folks running in the race. He's always capable on his day, and African Torrent seems progressive, not drawn particularly well. For that reason, we're in the Tyrus Express camp in race number 5. Let's page on to race 6 at 3:15. This is a middle stakes over 1,800 meters. In race number 6, number 3, Barney's Pride, is scratched. Pity for Neil, because Neil really liked Barney's Pride today at 14-1, but he's going to have to look elsewhere. Number 11, Afrod, the cheek pieces come off and the blinkers go on. Number 11, Afrod. So note that blinkers are on, the cheek pieces off Afrod. It is now a field of 11 with a scratching of Barney's Pride, but being a middle stakes race, we've always been at pains to point this out, that this race will favor the fillies. The fillies get a 2.5 kilogram 6 allowance in the race, and for that reason will gravitate towards the fillies in this race. Our top choice has to be young Sianda Sasibo's ride, Bold Fortune. Classy mare. She is very, very difficult to handle. That's the issue. Sianda has ridden her before, though. When she ran second to Golden Pheasant, she was in receipt of 9.5 kilos from Golden Pheasant that day. So everyone thought she would win, but she didn't. But there's no Golden Pheasant running here. And for that reason, Bold Fortune gets our vote. The other 2 fillies are number 9, Ballroom Bliss at 8-1, and number 12, Kind Judy at 8-1. Now, both of those would represent a bit of value, I think, at the 8-1 prices, because they receive that 2.5 kilogram 6 allowance. So I'm not going to leave 9, Ballroom Bliss, or 12, Kind Judy, out of calculations. And the only colt or gelding that I had time for personally, apart from Neil's Barney's Pride, which is now scratched, was number 7, Electric Gold, because he is progressive, and I worked out on his last run that his run behind Union Square, if you believe Union Square's rating of 116, and we mentioned this when Otto Laken won, beating Celestial City on the weekend, Electric Gold's rating, if you believe Union Square's a 116, should be 105. If it was racing off 105, it would be catapulted into the 60 kilogram category. In other words, Electric Gold would have been carrying 4 kilograms more than it's carrying today. So Electric Gold is the only horse from the male sex that I believe has a strong winning chance in the race. I'll put that in too. Number 6, You Can't Hurry Love, on his best form, is also a very classy horse, but he's not the same horse he was a couple of years ago, and I'm just hoping that he can improve. So at bigger perms, might want to include the 6, You Can't Hurry Love. On to race 7, which is up the straight, runs at 15:45. It's a fillies and mares 79 handicap. It's over 1,160 meters. In race 7, there are 3 scratchings. Number 3, Dancing Dora. Number 4, More Than a Feeling. And number 5, No Time Is Taken. Those 3 runners are out of race 7. Number 6, Silver Winter, is a chance ride for Gavin Larena. And those are the changes in the 7th race. Let's have a look at it. Well, Neil and I both are liking Bonnaroo, number 10. We've been for this many times before. We have gone to war with Bonnaroo and we've been beaten a couple of times, but back up the straight today, which it ran on the 5th of March this year, the same course and distance when it won comfortably. Back up the straight may be a different proposition. So we're both very heavily on number 10, Bonnaroo, to win race number 7. It is a 9-4 chance. The danger for me might well be number 2, Rocket's Red Glare. Again, we mentioned Siyanda Sosibo's name because he claims the 4 kilos, and this horse comes into 55. So number 2, Rocket's Red Glare would be our biggest danger. And I think that's where it ends. When unsure of Silver Winter, from the perspective of, will she get the 1160? She's run over 1,000 before. We're not sure whether she'll run over the 1160. So she's a big question mark for us as the daughter of What a Winter. Number 6, Silver Winter. So it's definitely 10, Bonnaroo, ahead of 2, Rockets Red Glare. Takes us to the 8th and last race, runs at 4:20. It's a fillies and mares 68 handicap. It's up for the straight again, 1160 meters. 2 scratchings here, number 4, Rattlebag, and number 8, Coco Hill. Those are out. In the 8th race, number 3, Mabaneng, will race without a compression mask, but with blinkers. So there has been a big equipment change there, which throws number 3, Mabaneng, into the race. I'm just going to go on to the betting there because I haven't changed the betting. But number 3, Mabaneng, has an equipment change. The compression mask is off and the blinkers are on. And also note that the earmuffs are also off. So there's been a few equipment changes surrounding number 3, Mabaneng, which means that we'd like to put it in because of all that equipment change. That last time out we liked it and things didn't work out. So maybe it is an equipment thing. So chuck number 3, Mabaneng in. Chuck both of the Wyoming runners in. He's in good form, the stable. Number 5, Looking Hot, is an 8.5-1 chance that you've got to put in. And the other coupling is number 13, There She Goes, which is as big as 12.5-1 too. So that goes in for us too. The other horse that we're pretty convinced will run a good race is number 10, Twice As Wild, who's a 5-1 chance, shortened from 8-1. We think that Gavin Larena rides her really well, and she's got a good draw. And don't leave out number 9, Feather the Nest, with Moziyeni on, also warrants inclusion over there. And I think that's possibly where it ends. Wider perms maybe include number 11, Red Carpet Girl. But our first choice is number 10, Twice As Wild. We respect Mabaneng at 12.5-1. We respect Looking Hot. We respect There She Goes, number 13. And then a bit of a Red Carpet Girl and Feather the Nest. If you do want to go a bit wider, then include a massive, massive outsider. In fact, it's not a massive outsider. It's also 12.5-1, number 12, Miss Tango. So that takes care of our preview for today. Thanks very much to Neil Andrews. He did call me a bit earlier on and gave me his thought process today. That's where we'll leave it. We'll be back for more racing tomorrow. Racing is down in Cape Town, but that's our Clocking the Gallop preview for today. Thanks very much for joining us, and hope that you have a great day and win with our selections. Bye-bye.